Good evening, welcome to my channel. It's sunny again, which is really nice for me personally, but not so great for the video. Something different again today. I've got a box, which is actually a mystery box, all the way from the US. More will become clear. And I've got a few kind of hand-picked items, which are basically gems, single issues, gems, number ones that I've read in the last, I've read them in the last few months, but they've been published in the last few years, let's say. And I just wanted to highlight a few gems from the Indy comic publishing scene. I do read some of the big two, Marvel and DC. My passion, I think you all know, is Valiant Comics, which is like the third shared universe. But I do read a lot of indie as well. So Image, Aftershock. Here I've got things from DSTLRY, for example, Mad Cave. And then other things like TKO, French translations. There's a lot out there. And one of the things I wanted to do with this channel is promote storytelling in its purest form. It doesn't really matter the format. Everyone has their preferences, but if it's a great story, you can find it in different formats. So I'm not snobbish, let's say, about comics or manga, etc. There's amazing things in that format, as well as my passion for novels and short stories in prose. So anyway, before I open the box, it is from Mad Cave Comics, and it was a discounted mystery box on their website from the US, which I get sent to basically a consolidator in the US that then sends it to me. So it's a courier that sends it. It's relatively expensive because you have to pay a little bit of customs, but it's a way of getting stuff you cannot get in the UK from the US. And I do it every so often. So I'll buy something from eBay in the US and get it shipped here. But before I look at that, I just wanted to give you a few examples of what I read, basically, science fiction from the indie publishers. So here's a taste of those. So this one's from Aftershock, and I do like Aftershock, and this is called Astronaut Down. And Astronaut Down was published in 2022. I've only read the first issue, but I have got recently, I read the first issue, I did recently get the others, so 2 to 5. As you know, I'm a completist, so I did enjoy the first one, and I've got the rest. And this is by James Patrick and Rubin, are the creators. And if you look at that front cover, amazing art. And that's one of the things that attracts me to this. I've always loved sci-fi, science fiction art, and I'll look into that in more detail when I get time. But in terms of this story, this is kind of a, I won't show you a lot of pages, but it's a group of wannabe astronauts who are going through this project and hoping to get selected to go on this journey. Now the journey, actually, you find out, or in the blurb, is to save the Earth. What you don't really know early doors, and there's always a cliffhanger at the end of a good #1 comic, is you're not traveling to space, they're actually traveling to different realities to save the Earth. You don't really know why. So standard 32-page comic, really good art, really atmospheric. Recommend this. I do want to obviously read the whole story, but in terms of #1s, this was caught my attention. I do read a bit of Aftershock, and I just picked this up at my local comic book store. But this is the kind of example of a sci-fi story, a serialized sci-fi story that you can find out there. So this was published in 2022, but I only kind of discovered it recently in my local comic store. And I always have a look through the back issues, have a look at the indies, the independent publishers, to see any kind of sci-fi stories that catch my eye, and this definitely did. So I won't show you the last page, but it's quite kind of intriguing, and it made me go out and buy numbers 2 to 5. So that's Aftershock Comics. The second one I've got here is Spectrum, which is by Mad Cave themselves. So this is one of my first soirees into Mad Cave, but the mystery box is also Mad Cave. And this is from 2024, so last year, and it's a tale again, I think it's 5 or 6 issues, but I've only read issue 1. And this character here basically is hallucinating, is seeing things, seeing robots and aliens and strange things. But Spectrum, I think, relates to, it's all about music, and it's actually a really interesting art style. You see the art style, it's very, very intriguing, and it's not uniform, so you can see there's lots of different, each page is almost a different art design, and it's very creative in terms of its look and feel. And basically you find out that she can see a being that can change reality through music. So the headphones obviously play a role in everything. So again, this is Mad Cave. So my mystery box might have something from that. So I haven't got the second issue of this. It's on my wish list, but maybe it's in the mystery box. That's kind of what I'm doing today. So yeah, so enjoyed that. Maybe not as much as Astronaut Down, but did enjoy that. It was I enjoyed it more for the art and the creativity than the story itself. But I sometimes just like the effort that these creators put in, the talent that is obviously there. I've said before that some cases you support this because then something greater comes of it. But this is good in itself, and it was, I think, my first or second step into Mad Cave, and it prompted me, or there's another Mad Cave in this pile that prompted me to get the mystery box basically. So and support this publisher. But that's the second one, Spectrum by Rick Quinn and Dave Chisholm, and Dave Chisholm's quite famous in comic circles. So that's number 2. Number 3 on my 5 recommendations or highlighting some indie sci-fi comics is The Prism by Matteo De Longis. Now this is just a gorgeous comic by Ablaze. I think it's Ablaze Studios or Ablaze Comics. Now look at that front cover. Now that, for me as a sci-fi geek, anything like that is just very attractive. This was, let me just check because I wrote it down, is 2023, so again a couple of years old. It's again follows the music, so we had one which is kind of music, hallucinations, changing reality with music. This one's actually about noise pollution. So noise pollution is destroying this dystopian Earth, and how can they solve that? Now they realize they can solve that by, you know, like noise cancelling headphones is putting something out into the world which affects it, or is the balance or the challenge to that noise pollution. And it basically becomes this rock band from space, which I just think it's a crazy idea, but it's just fun. And I've written down what Prism actually means is purifying recording interplanetary space mission. So basically this band, and I'll show you, like, look at this. Like the world building is fantastic on this. But what you see, there's one, I won't spoil anything obviously, but they're in space and you think, okay, they're in space, therefore they're on a mission, etc. And then basically you see something like this, where a guitarist gets dropped from space to do his rock ting. And hopefully it kind of saves the world or stops the noise pollution. And again, the style is very interesting. It's a bit more kind of Japanese manga-esque, some of those old animes in the 90s, but it's just a gorgeous thing. So very fun, doesn't take itself too seriously kind of story. And you can see on the back as well, it's kind of rock. But another interesting sci-fi idea. And again, I don't know much about Ablaze Comics, but I picked it up because I wanted to check out the Indy. The front cover got me. Just, yeah, pick it up if you're interested in a slightly different music-based sci-fi story. And I'm going to pick up 2, 3, 4, etc. as I go along. Now, the fourth one was probably the trigger point for getting the mystery box. And this is called Missing on the Moon, which is again Mad Cave, which prompted the mystery box, by Crater, Cuchero, Delpesh, Otsman, El Howe are the creative team. And it's kind of a police procedural kind of thing. So on the moon, basically crime is rife, and a billionaire's daughter goes missing, and this guy, who's kind of the very traditional washed up detective type, who breaks the law and smokes, etc., smokes on the moon, is tasked with finding this daughter. And again, I've only read the first issue, so I'm hoping, or maybe there's something in the mystery box. It's a high hope, but yeah, he's basically undercovers other things, even just in this small comic, which is quite intriguing. And anything with a map like this, the world building again, very creative, good enough art, actually works pretty well, I think, for a story on the moon. Greys, purples, blues make sense. And again, that front cover with all the guys kind of floating around, and he's kind of going, okay, I just think was really intriguing. So Missing on the Moon, this was 2024, so this is one of the most recent ones. I think Spectrum or this was around the same time, or at least same year. So this is one I'm probably the most intrigued by, and hope this is something in the mystery box. But again, Missing on the Moon, check it out if you're interested in a sci-fi story for an independent publisher. Again, doesn't take itself too seriously. And then the last one is kind of an interesting one. It's an oversized anthology, like premium paper, is how it sells itself, and it's DSTLRY Studios or DSTLRY Comics. And this is again quite recent. This is 2023, called The Devil's Cut, and it's actually got a list of very well respected and famous in the comics world writers or creators. So Brian Azzarello, Becky Cloonan, Joelle Jones, Jamie McKelvie, Stephanie Phillips, Ram V, James Tynion IV, who's one of the highest flyers currently in terms of comics writings, and Scott Snyder, who's famous for Batman Run, and recently what he's doing with DC All In. So really nice, and if you see again that cover, that's what attracted me. The small spaceship going through, and they're like 5 to 7 page snapshot comics with really interesting sci-fi premises. So I love these kind of anthologies. You think of the short story collections that have been going on for 60 years. These anthologies are becoming, I believe, more popular in the comics world because you get a lot for your money, and there's variation in what you're reading. If you're reading a 32-page comic or a trade paperback or an omnibus, yes, there will be creative changes, usually on the artist side for a story arc, etc., and the writer will change. But this is different artists and writers throughout the compendium or the anthology. So if you look at what I just showed you against this, which I think is safe to show you, look at the difference in the art styles. So that wasn't one of my favorite ones, but look at what I just showed you against this, for example. A little bit more watercolor, etc. And there's some awesome art in here, and some really good stories. Some of them, it's hit and miss in things like this, but some of them are really good. I'll show you the one that probably I liked towards the end. So this one's a good one, The Endless City, and it's kind of pure form sci-fi. Look at these characters. That's my kind of thing. That could be like a modern Star Trek episode. I won't show you the last page because that's only like 5 pages long, that one. But yeah, that was probably my favourite one. And who wrote that one? I didn't actually see who wrote that one. Okay, that story and art by Jamie McKelvie and letters by Aditya Bidikar. So I liked that one, Jamie McKelvie. And then this one, yeah, that one was good as well. Ram V. I've got some stuff from Ram V. So yeah, anything like this is a really good starting point if you get yourself an anthology. And there's a lot coming out now in different. There's a horror anthology called Silver Coin that I've read a lot of, which is kind of on pause at the moment, but there's lots of back issues or trade paperbacks you can get. And for the sci-fi one, you couldn't go far wrong with something like The Devil's Cut from DSTLRY. So that's just 5 kind of mini recommendations, or just to give you a flavour of the kind of thing you could do if you wanted to branch out into sequential art and comic storytelling. So let me know what you think. If you've read those, some of them have already got trade paperbacks and collected editions out, so let me know what you think. Is there any that I should read before the others? I've got the whole of Astronaut down, so that's probably going to be the #1 I read, but the rest of them I'm intrigued by and haven't bought anything yet, so they're still kind of on my wish list, which is huge, by the way. So now over to the mystery box. So let me just open it up. It's very well packaged because it's kind of cross-border express, let's say, the DHL-esque type delivery. But let me try and do this quickly. And then, because this company actually does the cross-border, they usually open it up before they send it, because they have to prove what's inside the box. So although I haven't seen anything, the box might be open. So let's have a look. Oh, interesting. It's literally just a pile of books. So did they actually just repurpose? Yes, I think they did. So sometimes what they do is when you consolidate, so you put more, you buy from multiple US e-tailers or shops, it all goes to one place and then they put it in their own box. This is actually the box from Mad Cave. So basically what I've opened there is what was sent. So it'll be interesting to see the condition of this, because it's literally just a wrapper like this. So all the way from the US, directly from Mad Cave Studios website. And it looks like there's a lot in here. So this was, I want to say this was like $30. It was really heavily discounted. And I thought, again, you can't go wrong with a mystery box. And it's something, for me, it's something interesting to do with you guys on the channel as well. So what have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like 5 collected editions and more than 5 single issues. So yeah, mystery box is exactly what it is. I have no idea what's coming. All I know is all published from Mad Cave. Might not all be sci-fi, because Mad Cave do a lot of different things, but let's see what happens. Okay, so first one is called Charred Remains. Now, sometimes you might get not the first one in a series, especially on collected edition, so I could get up 2, 3, 4 in a series, but still, this is like a taster menu for a publisher, which I think is really interesting. So this is called Charred Remains. A flame that only burns flesh is at the centre of a century-long conspiracy that an aging firefighter and young woman set out to uncover. A dark entity made of fire, smoke and ash, the fireman blazes through a young girl's home. So this looks more like horror, and the rating is teen plus. So this to buy new, and this is in perfect condition, so I think all of this is new basically, is $17.99. So in terms of value, it is more horror. It's probably something I wouldn't pick up if I was out and about. The artwork looks a little bit like Jeff Lemire, if any of you know Jeff Lemire. And it's Anthony Cleveland, Andrea Muti, and Taylor Esposito. But nice, I'll have a look at that. Again, like I do with the mystery boxes for vintage sci-fi or for novels or books, I'll have a look. If I don't think it's for me, with comics I'll probably read like 1 issue, so this is probably 5 or 6 issues, or it might be a standalone graphic novel, but I'll read a little bit, and if I don't fancy it, it will be a charity shop, maybe AGK, or I'll pass it on. So I'll have a look at that one. But good start in terms of the value of this mystery box, for sure. That's #1. #2 looks a little bit more comical, and I have heard of Zach Thompson. What have I read for Zach Thompson? I've read a few things by him for sure, the writer. Project Reese, or Riser. It's 1952. The wound World War II inflicted on the world is still fresh. Sam Safdie and his ragtag group of treasure hunters have been searching for the fabled map of the Owl Mountains for years. Okay, so this is an action-packed adventure sci-fi tale Perfect for fans of Uncharted, Overlord, and The Keep. Okay, so I think this is number 1 as well. So I'm not a fan of that kind of art. Is it just... Actually, it's not too... Yeah, it's a little bit comical for me. And yeah, that probably wouldn't attract me in a comic store or a bookstore to pick up. But Zach Thompson, I've read a few things. I'm sure there was a strange one about mobile phones or social media spreading a virus. I'm pretty sure that was Zach Thompson. So he's a good writer. I'm just not a fan of maybe this art. And who's that? Jeff McComsey, Paul Little, Justin Birch, the artist. But again, that's an $18 trade paperback of maybe 6-7 issues in one volume. And it is sci-fi, apparently. It says it on the back. So let's have a look. Okay, number 3. Now, I've heard of this. This is called Whisper of the Woods by Enon Anna Ierov. Now, this is a bit thinner. But again, I kind of like the art style there. That's an intriguing image for sure. What happens when a foreigner doesn't listen to the locals' warnings and dives headfirst into a haunted forest? So, again, maybe ghosty, horror-y. Even though I've got 2 Mad Cave sci-fi, I think they are other genres. Let's have a look at the internal art. Okay, can't show you that. Is this Teen Plus or this is my... Okay, this is rated mature, so I might not be able to show you much, but I can definitely show you that. So that's more simplified, like Ghibli. Although Ghibli's much better, but in terms of the style. So completely different art style again. So Enon Anna Ierov, I think, is the writer, yes, and artist and colorist. So again, I do like to get behind these single creator creations, basically. I've got rid of a lot of my stuff now, but I will go into a little bit more of some of the creators I love. There's a couple of one American, one British young creator that I'm really trying to follow and big up, that I'll maybe expand on more in the future. But that's an intriguing one. Again, looks like a horror, but it looks like a very quick read, so something I probably will look at. Okay. I don't know what to say about this mystery box, but Over the Ropes by Broken Kayfabe, and it looks like it's a wrestling tale. Welcome to Volume 2 of Over the Ropes, the 1990s pro wrestling series. SFW's hit TV show, Explode, takes the wrestling world by storm. Teen Plus, Mad Cave. Now, yeah, this isn't for me. This is, like, literally every page is wrestling. So that one's going to go, and yes, I haven't heard of those creators, but that is not, I would never pick that up. So number 4, not so good. This might be making me stick to book mystery boxes, but let's see. Okay, next one by Lujan Caicedo, Sahadewa, and Birch. So Birch is, I think, the letter on lots of these. Set in Miami during its most dangerous and depraved decade, the 1980s, this coming-of-age tale follows 4 teens desperate to escape the drugs and violence of the city. So not sci-fi, again. And something probably that my wife would like, to be honest. Look at that's like Miami Vice colours. Right. Pretty good art, though. Little bit, again, jovial on the art. Dryfoot. Dryfoot is a fearless story infused with Hispanic culture that deals with friendship, family, and sacrifice. Again, not really for me, but yeah. Okay, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 trade paperbacks. So all of, I don't know, RRP of $15 or more. So I've already got my money back, but would I choose any of them? Let's see. So it's back to the single, down to the single issues. I'd say in terms of intrigue, and yeah, it's probably 1, maybe this one actually, 2. I like the feel of that. 3, 4, horrific, 5. I'm judging based on cover and wrestling, but 5. Okay, so now I've got, let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 7 single issues. Could be one shots, could be in a series, could be number ones. I'm hoping if it's a taster box, they give you number ones, because that's your step in to buy more, basically. And I'm hoping there's a bit of sci-fi in here, obviously. So let's look at the first one. Okay, nice. So Exit City number 1. Now, anything something city, is it a police thing? Is it let me just get this out of its bag. I know nothing about this one. And it doesn't say much, but yeah, it looks, I don't know, that looks sci-fi-esque, does it? Nice art, my kind of art. Oh, it's a bit risque, so teen plus again. Yeah, I like the look of it. It looks like well, it's very gory, but it's definitely sci-fi. I'm not going to show you the last page, but it's definitely sci-fi. So cyberpunk-esque, on the streets kind of story. I like that one. That's definitely my favourite so far in terms of intrigue and reading. And I haven't heard of it, so, and it's relatively new because it's got the 10-year anniversary, so I'm presuming they're promoting some new series, which is great. Okay, another 10-year anniversary one. This doesn't look sci-fi or cyberpunk, so maybe less excited by it. I didn't say who created that one. So London, Mostert, Barron and Sharp are the creators. I need to get their first names. So this is Skeeters number 1. Kelly Williams, Bob France, Kevin Cuff and Chaz Pangburn. This looks more like a horror monster type tale again. But it's number 1. It's a 10-year anniversary, so it's again modern. 2023. And again, looks quite nice, but well, gory again. So I think that's what Mad Cave might be their forte, or their niche, is a little bit of gore. Now I can't show you too much, but yeah, a little bit of blood, a little bit of other things. But again, might not be for me, but it's a 32-page comic. I'll finish it in a heartbeat. So something to check. Yeah, not bad. Not as good as Exit City, but not bad. So I'm opening it up before I look at number 3. Again, a number 1, and it's called String number 1. Again, Mad Cave 10-year anniversary. Paul Tobin, Carlos Javier Olivares, Sarah Colella and Taylor Esposito, which I think we've had before. Great cover, in terms of the colour especially. Okay. Yeah, no, police again. Is it police procedural maybe? Look at that, that's good, that's good. I do like the look and feel of it, for sure. She's got pink hair. I like this. Okay, actually, can I show you anything there? I think I can. This 4x4, which is very Watchmen-esque. I do like it, you get a lot in there. So this looks like maybe a standard police procedure. I'll have to look this up. Yeah, actually, I like the look of that. I like the colours, I like the art, I like the feel. So even though, again, I don't think it's sci-fi, even though looking at that, you can't tell. That's pretty good. So what's that? So this is number 4. And this is number 1 again. So David Hazan and Cecilia Lovalvo, Monomyth. Marissa Louise and Lucas Gattoni are the other creators. Another great cover. Monomyth. Now, is this horror? Again, looks like it. Or for no, fantasy looks like. In a land of myth and legend, in a time long since lost to memory, by twist of fate or by grand design, an old wizard happens upon the young orphan boy who would one day be king. Oh, A tale as old as time. Teen Plus again. A little bit of gore again. But yeah, this is pure sword and sorcery by the looks of it. Yeah, not as good. It's a bit kind of pencily art for me. It's a bit kind of scratchy. I do like the clean cut stuff, but again, not bad. I don't really do fantasy that much, but it's closer to sci-fi, and you never know, it might be Gene Wolfe type sci-fi. Nearly finished now. I think there's 3 left. Interesting. So Dark Empty Void, Kaplan, Sheehan, Segala, and World, #1. Now this does look sci-fi. And again, I think I've heard of this. Is there a series or a world, a universe around the void? Maybe. Very interesting colours, and yeah, like page 1 is planetary. So this looks more my thing, for sure. The art's okay. It works for me. And again, I just want to flick through. I don't want to see anything revealing. Big pages, splash pages, etc. Okay, there's a bit in Alaska, which is always good. So yeah, that looks like a good one. Intrigued by that one. I will definitely look these up after this and get a bit more information. Now this one's a much thicker one. Much thicker. Hunt, Kill, Repeat. So again, London, Archidiacono, Deering, Luffridge and Wooton. New York Comic Con. So is this a New York Comic Con exclusive? Usually when you get this emblem here, you could only get this version of the comic at the New York Comic Con. So maybe this one's a little bit more collectible. And it is much thicker. It's like much harder. The card stock is much more. So Mark London, Francesco Archidiacono, what a name. Mark Deering, Lee Luffridge, Russ Wooton. So this does look like sci-fi fantasy. So he's like a god there, and if you look at the back, they're like space gods. Yeah, and they're going down to Earth to repeat something. All hail Olympus, Manhattan. So yeah, maybe the ancient and the new collide. The old world of the gods. This looks quite fun. And how old is this? 2023. So yeah, again, something I wouldn't pick up looking at that cover compared to the two kind of sci-fi covers, but yeah, not bad. And there's a lot of bang for your buck there, and it hasn't got a price either or a barcode, so it's not a direct sales edition, which makes me think it is a New York Comic Con exclusive. Right, the last one by the looks of it. Van Lent, Panda and Carey. So if that's Fred Van Lent, I'm very happy. Because he's a big writer historically on Valiant and just come back to do some Valiant. And he's quite a funny guy. He did Archer and Armstrong, for example. Yeah, Fred Van Lent, writer, artist Chris Panda, letterer Rebecca Carey. So this will probably be pretty well written. It's called Murder Kingdom, and it looks like Little Red Riding Hood, but look who's on the wall. So is it like a more powerful Little Red Riding Hood? Teen Plus again, Mad Cave, convention exclusive again. Oh yeah, so it says it down here, convention exclusive. So there's two kind of collectible comics in here by the looks of it. Yeah, really interesting. So this looks a little bit more again like how fairy tales interact with the real world. So would I pick that up if I saw that? Probably not. Will I read it because it's part of a mystery box? Probably yes. So intriguing. I have to say that I'm happier with the single issues. Let me just get them all together. Than I am with the trade paperbacks, and I think part of that is just thinking, well, if I want to try something like I did with the recommendations, it's much easier to do so because of the amount of content is less. So if I put these in order, I think you'll probably guess which are my top two in terms of intrigue. I think I'll go something like this. Yeah, I'm unsure about that. I'm really unsure about that. It's a bit Barbie-esque, you know, the Barbie comics or Gem comics, so I'm a bit unsure. But basically, number one, probably the first one I pulled out, because I flicked through it. I didn't want to show you too much, but it does look cyberpunkish, and I do like those kind of Blade Runner in a dark and dingy futuristic mega city, but then you're on the ground dealing with the police problems, etc. So that is a definite for me to read. Number two is have a look at this and then do some research if there is a universe to do with Mad Cave and Void in general. So those two are pure, in my opinion, sci-fi. This one just because I'm a fan of Fred Van Lent. I think it would just be a fun read regardless. Might be a fun read and then a giveaway, but it is a convention exclusive. These don't have a lot of value unless they're incredibly small print runs, or they're a story that takes off, or they're part of a franchise that's really successful, etc. But really nice to have. Then this one, just because there's a sci-fi element in terms of off-world god-type characters coming down to, I don't know, cause mayhem by the looks of it. This one, sword and sorcery, fantasy-esque, old as time, Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings in 32 pages for Mad Cave. I'll have a look at that one. Skeeters, not that interested in monster gore, but I'll give it a go probably. Looks a little bit like Man-Thing. And then this one I'm just unsure of. I'm thinking I might just give them all a go, because it'll just literally be, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, maybe more, flick through. And then we'll see what we get. So yeah, I think if I'm looking at, what's that, 7 single issues, 2 what look like convention exclusives, plus 5 trade paperbacks, I'm still pretty happy, even though I shipped it from the US. What I think I might look for is an equivalent mystery box just for science fiction, sequential art, because the only thing missing really was there were some genres in there that I wouldn't maybe be as attracted to. But anyway, that's my second mystery box, I think, on the channel. It's a little bit different. The first one was science fiction novels, but hopefully you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and the majority of my content is vintage science fiction, A-format paperbacks, reading updates, etc. But every so often, for my science fiction retirement library, I go off and have a look at comics, graphic novels, omnibuses, collected editions, because there's some great storytelling in here. Thank you.